Viewmasters, it's the podcast that we do. Viewmasters, talk about movies that we view. Viewmasters, my friend Eric and me, Joe. Viewmasters, hey, let's start the show.
Hey, welcome to the Viewmasters, episode 271. Horror of Dracula. My name is Eric.
My name is Joe. Blah. Hello, Eric. My name is Joe.
Yeah. Sure is.
Oh man, I feel just slappy today.
I hope that makes for a good show.
I do too,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. Could really go either way.
Yep. So
How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, I guess. I don't know.
All right.
Nothing disastrous has happened, so I guess that's fine, right?
Yeah, that's a win. I'll take that.
Okay, sure. I mean, I get to talk about Dracula, and quite frankly, I'm excited about that.
Excellent.
You texted me a couple days ago because there was the possibility that we would have to change plans because you might have to serve jury duty.
Right. I believe I mentioned a few episodes back that I got a summons for jury duty.
Yes,
but,
I believe that was your joy for that week.
It sure was. Alas, it was not meant to be.
I'm sad for you, but I am excited because I responded that that means I get to talk to you about Dracula for 2 hours, and then we can record a podcast.
Oh man, yeah. You know, as I was watching this, it occurred to me that that this is my very first Dracula thing.
What?
Yeah, like
Ever?
I mean, I've seen stuff with vampires,
Well,
obviously.
Sure. Yeah.
I've seen, and I know that both, that Nosferatu is based on Dracula, but not Dracula for some reasons.
Legal reasons.
Legal reasons, of course, always
Yes.
legal reasons.
Yep.
But yeah, I've seen the original of that, and then the 1979. I think Werner Herzog did that one.
Yes, with Klaus Kinski.
Yes. So I've seen those. Dracula was in.
I will say
Sorry.
the Nosferatu remake, the Herzog one, actually they revert all the characters back to their original Dracula names.
Oh, even Count Dracula?
Yes.
Oh, really? I totally missed that.
Yep.
I watched that movie in German class in high school.
Oh.
So
It's a weird and awesome choice.
Yeah. It was weird. my German teacher wasn't great.
Okay.
We watched a lot of movies.
I mean, the Germans aren't necessarily known for their, all ages friendly films.
Yeah, not so much.
Did you guys also watch Funny Games?
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, okay.
We watched Nosferatu. We watched M, the Fritz Lang movie.
Sure.
Which I'm pretty sure I slept through most of because it's largely silent.
Yes, yeah. It's a
So
very good movie, though.
it's actually on my list maybe to pick for the podcast at some point because I would like to actually watch it.
Sure.
And then we watched a movie called The Nasty Girl.
What?
It was about like a girl in high school who or maybe she's in university, I don't know, but like she lives in this sort of small town and she's working on this essay like she basically she uncovers like this cover up in the community about its complicity in the Holocaust. And she also has a relationship with a teacher, I remember.
Like, I'm guessing not an appropriate relationship.
No, I mean he's way older than she is, and I'm pretty sure they get married.
Okay, yeah, that
I remember right.
all checks out.
Yeah, Das Schreckliche Mädchen is what that one is called. If you want to look that up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
So Dracula. But then, I know that Dracula was in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the season 5 premiere, which is very entertaining. And then, I think that's actually it. Like, that's the only thing that I've seen that I can think of where a character called Dracula, other than I guess Nosferatu,
sure,
is present. So this is my very first like official Dracula thing.
Not even the Bela Lugosi one, huh?
Not even the Bela Lugosi one.
Yeah.
I've seen the only Universal horror movie that I've seen. I guess I've seen 2 of them. I've seen Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't seen any of the other ones.
Wow. Huh. Well,
it's a big blind spot for me.
Wow.
Just classic horror in general is a big blind spot for me.
Well, when you move back to Dayton, you can come over, and I've got the entire Universal Monsters Blu-ray set, and we can watch all of them.
Excellent.
Not for the show, just because.
Yeah, just to hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. So I take it that you're a Dracula. Are you a Dracula aficionado?
I am. So this may shock you in some ways to find out that I'm a bit of a nerd.
What?
Yeah, and not only that, but again, I'm trying not to shatter your world here, but I was a bit of a weird kid. And when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Dracula. And,
nice.
Pretty much still am. It never fully went away. I think that most kids who, was obsessed as I was with that kind of thing, you usually became super goth, and I was just like, that's fucking weird. No.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine you as a goth, and I just don't see it at all.
I mean, I wore a lot of black, and I wore a leather jacket throughout, some of my years in high school all the time. But, I was pretty much, at most just a metal dude.
All right.
But for the most part, yeah, I mean, there was 1 or 2 occasions where my fingernails were painted black, but that was usually because there was a girl I liked who wanted to paint my fingernails, and I wasn't going to say no.
Absolutely not. Why would you?
Right. I was never fully engaged. I never as much as I like Tim Burton, I did not take on that persona. But when I was a real little kid, the library used to have these books. They were the size of magazines, like maybe 40 pages long total, hardback books that would just describe mostly the Universal monster movies. But there would be some traditional vampire lore also in there too. And
interesting.
This is where Dracula really came from. This is Bram Stoker wrote the book. Blah blah blah. And I used to check those out all the time, but Dracula was definitely my favorite one.
Interesting.
Dracula, the novel, was the first real novel that I ever read.
That's awesome.
I was in the 2nd grade.
Wow.
Yep. I carried it and a dictionary with me so that I could read it, and then when I hit a word I didn't know, I would look it up.
Nice. That's so smart.
I know, right? I retained none of it.
Oh, that's incredible.
So I've seen a lot of Dracula movies. I'm sure there are people who have seen a lot more than I have. I would even say like the Hammer films are kind of a blind spot for me. Just in general, not just the Dracula ones, but there are a lot of Hammer movies that I just have not watched.
Yeah.
But I've seen, including this one today, maybe 5 of the Dracula movies.
Okay.
There is 8 in total. And Christopher Lee is the Dracula in, I believe, 7 of them.
Nice.
No, 6. 6, sorry. So actually, there might be 9 Dracula movies.
Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, I had never seen this first one. And I think that's real weird because he is kind of a definitive Dracula, aside from Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. I was struck by, well, like the other Christopher Lee Hammer movies I've seen are the Frankenstein ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot just what a large man he is.
Oh yeah, he's like,
so tall.
He is. He's not Shaq tall, but he's still alive. But he's also very lithe, so he moves.
Yes, he really does.
Yeah, I think he was like 6'5", 6'6", something like that.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very tall man, very thin man. At least, especially in his younger days.
Yeah.
It was shocking to me in this movie how little he speaks.
Yeah, he has very little dialogue beyond like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and
if he even has any at all.
He does. It's very little, and it by minute 20, like he does not say another word throughout the rest of the movie.
Right.
Which I don't know. I mean, Christopher Lee, he's got a pretty famous voice.
Yeah.
It just it shocked me. Like I felt like in the others that I had seen, that he's not particularly a verbose character, but he says stuff. While I was doing a bunch of just general Hammer Dracula research on Wikipedia and whatnot, there is a movie, I think it's called Dracula Prince of Darkness, in which he does not speak at all throughout the entire movie.
Oh, wow.
And he himself had given interviews saying that he just hated the script so much that he refused to speak any of the dialogue. But then the writer eventually came out and said, I just didn't write dialogue. And then somebody eventually found a copy of the script that was used in the movie, and no, there is no Dracula dialogue in that movie whatsoever.
What a sassy bitch.
He really is.
Oh, man.
So, I don't know exactly. So, yeah, this is one that I had not seen. It's the first one that they did. It was just called Dracula in England. And in filming, it was renamed Horror of Dracula to not confuse it with the Universal movie.
Right.
It had its world premiere in Milwaukee.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Just a little factoid that I found that fascinates me.
That's so weird.
Yep.
Was there a reason given, or just that was just where they wanted to do it?
I guess so.
All right.
I mean, it's a different time, I guess.
Like, is Terrence Fisher from Milwaukee?
No, I believe everyone on that movie is British.
I thought so.
Yep. Yeah, so who knows? Maybe Peter Cushing had a cousin that lived in Milwaukee. I don't get it, but That was its world premiere.
That's amazing.
And then, 2 weeks later, it premiered in England.
Nice.
But yeah, so I didn't know what this movie was going to be. I guess I kind of assumed that it would just be sort of a straight up adaptation of the original novel. And it is not.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I read a plot synopsis of the novel after I watched the movie just to see how close it was, and yeah, there's a lot that's different.
Oh yeah,
in this.
I'm surprised, actually, real quick. I'd never even seen the Francis Ford Coppola one.
No, never saw that one.
Huh.
I remembered the other Dracula, the other thing that I've seen with Dracula in it.
Okay.
Blade Trinity. That's the only other thing.
Good. Oh, Dominic Purcell.
Yeah.
I tried to forget that existed.
I had completely forgotten it existed. I actually looked up a list of movies with Dracula in them.
Right.
And I saw that on the list and I was like, what?
Yep.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that happened. Certainly was a thing that happened.
Anyway.
Yeah, Dracula. So there's quite a few Dracula movies I've seen that have just been pretty close adaptations. None of them are ever exact, but the book is also written in a weird way. It's all written as diary entries and recordings and stuff like that.
Right.
So, obviously there's that factor that plays into a sort of unadaptability to it.
Yeah.
But they've all remained pretty close, and I gotta say, sometimes that it's a boring story.
It sounds like it is.
And it's weird. I watched the Klaus Kinski Nosferatu a couple years ago, and I think that's when it sort of hit me just how sort of boring and dumb Dracula's ultimate plan is.
What is Dracula's ultimate plan?
I'm not entirely sure. He buys property and there's a huge real estate subplot.
Yeah, it's a lot like Superman the movie in that respect.
Kind of. But when he makes it over to England, he then unleashes a plague of rats to sort of thin out the population, I guess.
Okay.
But he also falls in love with Mina Harker and tries to convert her to be with him.
Okay.
I think that sums it up. But
so he's really just looking for love.
He really is, yeah.
Aw, that's nice.
Yeah. There are a lot of Dracula movies where it's a very romantic subplot, and then of course it all plays out the way it plays out.
Right, because he's a monster.
Yeah, he is the undead.
Yeah.
And some Draculas sexier than others. And I'd say that Klaus Kinski not.
Yeah.
Max Schreck, the original Nosferatu, of course, not.
No, not Christopher Walken?
Not that one. No, not that Max Schreck.
Because that one, very
he's
sexy.
a little sexy. Yeah. I mean, he's no chip, but
Bringing it all back around.
I don't know if you noticed this when you were looking up the list of movies that had Dracula in it, but Andy Warhol made a Batman Dracula fan film.
I saw a few things, like I remembered that there was the animated Batman versus Dracula.
Sure.
And then I saw another one that was, I think, just called Batman Dracula, but I didn't dig into it. Was that an Andy Warhol movie?
It was, yes, a fan film that Andy Warhol made.
That's amazing.
I desperately tried to find like pictures, anything, but I could not find anything.
Oh man, that's spectacular.
Andy Warhol, who also would go on to officially make a Dracula movie of his own.
Oh, really?
And it is weird. Just fucking weird.
Okay.
I cannot recommend it unless you just want to be amazed by how weird it is.
I mean, how long is it? How much of a commitment are we talking here?
I mean, standard movie like, so between 90 minutes to 2 hours.
All right, it sounds like too long to me.
Yeah, but he's played by Udo Kier. He is a vegetarian. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw it once when I was like a little kid because, again, obsessed with Dracula.
Naturally.
And there was a scene where his Renfield of sorts, it may have actually been Renfield, I'm not sure, runs over somebody with a car, and then takes a loaf of bread and sops up the blood and gives that to Dracula so that he would have blood to eat.
Wow.
Yep. Like, I just distinctly remembered that from being a little kid. And then a couple of years ago, I watched the whole thing, and it's fucking weird. But, Udo Kier could have been a sexy Dracula.
Sure.
But I'd say the super sexiest Dracula is, of course, Christopher Lee.
Yeah, no, he's a handsome man.
He is. Could do without the unibrow.
Well, yeah.
but I don't know if that is I don't think he has a unibrow in real life. I think that might actually just be a makeup thing because he's playing a vampire.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that was a choice for the movie.
Yeah, because that is a sign of vampirism. Is unibrows?
Is it?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep. There
all right.
Unibrows and the middle fingers are usually just a little bit longer than normal.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, and also hairy palms.
Okay.
Yep. Which we don't see too much of Christopher Lee's hands in this movie, but I think they're normal.
Yeah, probably.
So I was pretty shocked to see that it wasn't a direct adaptation. Like, it starts out with Jonathan Harker reading from his journal, which I thought, okay, so they are going with a strict adaptation, but then it veers off pretty quickly.
Yeah, I thought, once I saw that it was the novel was originally written as letters, I thought that was a neat sort of nod to it. And then, yeah, you're right. It diverges pretty quickly.
Yeah. So it starts out with Jonathan Harker arriving at Castle Dracula, like I would say most of the classic Dracula stories start. And then he meets Dracula. They have a friendly chat. Apparently, he's been hired there to be the librarian at the castle.
Right.
Which is, again, a twist because he's actually a real estate agent in the other stories. And then once he's alone, he reveals that he's a vampire hunter and he's there to kill Dracula. And that's when I said, what the fuck?
That was such a good reveal. That was so cool.
It really was. It worked. That whole opening just works on a lot of levels, except for when Harker does eventually go down to kill Dracula. He doesn't kill Dracula first.
Yeah, that was a rookie mistake.
Yep. Yeah, when he goes down into the basement and decides to kill Dracula's bride at first, I was like, oh, you dumbass, no!
Yeah,
then,
he got what he deserved, sort of there.
Yeah, and then I guess, had he, been smart, we wouldn't have the rest of the movie.
That's true.
And we wouldn't have Peter Cushing.
But yeah, that whole, like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I fucking loved this movie.
This movie is great.
It was so good. But yeah, that whole, like, just the whole sequence, the opening sequence with Jonathan Harker, I was like, okay, this is our guy. This is our main character. And then, yeah, he dies real fast.
Yeah. I mean, I knew, like, Jonathan Harker remains throughout the novel, but he is definitely not the hero of the novel.
Right.
So I knew that things weren't going to work out for him too well, but I did not expect him to just immediately bite it. No pun intended.
Nope. Thank you very much.
Although he is not the one that does the biting. That was more of a pun.
That was Dracula. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. They have teeth.
There are things about Dracula that I had picked up through some sort of, like, cultural osmosis.
Uh-huh.
So, like, I knew characters. Like, I knew, like, is it Mina Harker?
Yes,
is a character. I knew Van Helsing, of course, from the Hugh Jackman classic.
Uh-huh.
And then I guess, yeah, them and Jonathan Harker, I knew was an important character as well. So yeah, I was real surprised when he died so early.
So again, sorry to harp on this, but did you ever see Van Helsing?
No, I never did see that one.
I mean, that's your best choice there because it's a terrible fucking movie. But,
right.
people saw it.
I saw League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which I believe Mina Harker is a character in.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's I think the only reason I know who she is.
Yeah, yeah, it was kind of surprising that he dies pretty quickly, like 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
This is the first. I don't think he was actually the first, but he is definitely the most prominent Dracula to actually have fangs. Before that, all the cinematic Draculas just didn't have them.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
I think there was one a few years before this came out that was like filmed in Turkey or Istanbul, and that Dracula had fangs, but it's Turkish. Who's watching that?
Oh wow! Turks.
The only good Turkish movies are Turkish Spider-Man and Turkish Star Wars,
of course. Oh, man. Now, I read something recently about how the fangs are just for show. Like for some reason in my head I thought that, okay, they're using the fangs to, like, the blood is getting sucked up into the fangs.
Uh-huh.
And that's not the case, I guess.
I mean, they puncture the skin and draw the blood out and then suck it into their mouths. So it's,
yeah.
So it's not really for show. It's for there's functionality there.
That's fair. I guess there is. I guess I was thinking of it as like a snake's fangs.
Okay.
Have that's how they inject the venom into you when they bite you.
Okay. All right.
But like the opposite of that, where the blood goes up into the fangs. Which, as I say it out loud, makes zero sense at all.
Yeah. And also, the Dracula bites you, you become a vampire, so, it could be whatever, toxin or whatever that transforms you, that comes from his fangs.
That could be. All right.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Ask Guillermo del Toro about the physiology of vampires, because he has written extensively about them.
All right, is he still on Twitter? I'll tweet at him.
I don't know.
Hey, at real GDT.
Of course, his vision of vampires is very different than a Dracula vampire.
Oh, really?
So you've seen Blade 3, so I assume that you have seen Blade 2.
That's true. I have seen Blade 2, so you're right.
Which does not have a Dracula in it, but
it does not.
It has vampires, and his vampires have like the weird vaginal mandible things.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it's real weird.
Then when he did the TV show, books first, then TV show The Strain. They are very similar in form and function, but they just have really long tentacle-like tongues that come out and do horrible things.
That sounds awful.
Yep, they are not pretty vampires. He does not like a pretty vampire.
I just remembered another thing that I've seen with a Dracula in it.
Okay.
There's an episode of Community where Troy dresses up as a sexy Dracula for Halloween.
I don't know if that one counts.
No?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I'm trying.
I know you are.
I'm trying to contribute.
You're doing fine. You watched this movie?
I fucking loved this movie. It was so good.
There you go. That's all you need.
Peter Cushing is awesome.
Peter Cushing is always awesome. I just have a real soft spot in my heart for that man.
Yeah, so when I picked this, I knew Christopher Lee was Dracula. Mm-hmm. Didn't know anybody else who was in it.
Okay.
Probably should have expected that Peter Cushing was in it since it's a Hammer horror film.
Yeah, I think I even mentioned it last week when you picked it, so...
I forgot.
Yeah, it's fine.
Also did not realize that Michael Gough is in this movie.
The Alfred himself.
Yes. This is the only thing I think that I've ever seen him in outside of the Batman movies.
Did you not ever see Sleepy Hollow?
I did see Sleepy Hollow. I forgot he was in that.
He's got a very small role in that, so it's
but
easy to forget.
I also just remember that he's in Top Secret, which I have also seen.
I have seen that. I do not remember him in that movie, though. I do remember...
I think he's like the scientist that Val Kilmer has to rescue.
Okay. I do remember Peter Cushing in that movie.
I did not remember Peter Cushing being in that.
He is like the librarian that they visit to like lead them underground or whatever.
That's awesome.
He has the gag where he's got the magnifying glass up to his eye, and when he pulls it away, his eye is still huge.
That's awesome.
It's not a Hammer movie. There was another company like in the mid to late 70s called Amicus, which produced a lot of anthology type movies like your Tales from the Crypt, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And it may actually be Tales from the Crypt, but there is a story in that one that stars Peter Cushing that like made me fall in love with him as just a human being and an actor.
Nice.
Where he plays like this kindly old man who like gives toys to children and all the kids in town love him, but he's poor and his house is an eyesore. the local rich assholes want him out. So they kill him.
Oh my god.
And then he comes back as a zombie and exacts his revenge.
Nice.
And it is just a great little story, and he is amazing in it.
That sounds awesome.
And of course, he is Grand Moff Tarkin, the actual villain of Star Wars.
Of course, yeah. My favorite movie of Peter Cushing's is Rogue One, for sure. I think he's great in that movie. He's just such a presence. And actually, when I saw this is true. This is not a dumb joke like the Rogue One thing. When I saw Michael Goff, I could not place him at first, but I thought, is he related to Ben Mendelsohn? He looks like he could potentially be a relative of, not an alien. Like saying an ancestor makes it sound like he's 200 years old,
right? Yeah,
but an ancestor of Ben Mendelsohn.
I could easily see that. Yeah, he is shocking to look at. Because he is so young, but also he looks so old as well.
Yeah.
I think he's only 42 in this movie.
Okay.
Which is a year younger than me. I could easily mistake him for mid-50s.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. People lived harder those days.
It's true.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when I saw his name in the credits. And as I texted you earlier, I honestly thought that you knew that going into this, and that is why you picked this movie.
I wish I had known that going in, but also it was such a nice surprise. I'll be completely honest with you. I thought that so we meet Jonathan Harker first, and I was like, is that Michael Goff? I really don't recognize him, but it must be because he's a major character. And Michael Goff was third in the credits.
Right? Yeah, it's true.
And then he died and the real Michael Goff showed up.
And you do only know him as a very elderly man, so
it's
who
true.
knows what he looked like younger.
Yeah, well, now I do.
Oh, well, now you do, yeah. I've only ever seen one other movie with him in it, and it is called The Crucible of Horror. And it's from the mid to late 70s. One of my ex-girlfriends and I watched it along with one of her friends, and all three of us just were so fucking bored in that movie. And I was excited. I was like, it's got Alfred in it. But gosh, oh boy. I think it has a second name to it too. Sometimes this movie is called Dracula in England and Horror of Dracula in America, that kind of thing. And whatever the second name was, it was just yeah, this title is a lie. There's nothing horrific or anything about this. There's no crucible.
Thrilling tales of horror.
Yeah, no, not thrilling at all. But he plays an abusive husband whose wife and daughter finally get fed up and basically attempt to kill him. But he just won't die.
Aww.
Yeah, it's terrible. Don't watch it.
All right, good to know.
Yeah, but he's great in this.
Yeah, he is really good in this.
He plays sort of an asshole, hapless husband to Mina, not Harker anymore.
Right.
Although they don't say what her last name originally was, because Jonathan Harker is Lucy's fiance.
Yeah.
Who is Arthur's sister. Yeah.
Yes.
I think I've got that straight.
I think you've got that straight as well.
Yeah. And so, so when Jonathan kills Dracula's bride, then Dracula sets out to get revenge and track down Jonathan's fiancée to turn her into a vampire. And then Peter Cushing playing Van Helsing, a role he played numerous times as well. Either that or a descendant of Van Helsing in the later Dracula movies.
Okay.
Because I think the last two Christopher Lee ones take place in the modern day. They're modern for when it was filmed.
Gotcha.
It's like Dracula 1972 AD. And then Dracula, the Satanic Rites of Dracula.
Okay.
And Peter Cushing plays, like, you know, Jimmy Van Helsing or whatever.
Well, golly, Mr. Dracula. Oh, man. But yeah, Peter Cushing is great.
Yep. There's so generally when I watch a Hammer horror movie, and it may just be because this was like the second horror movie that they had put out, the first one being whatever their first Frankenstein was, Evil of Frankenstein, Curse of Frankenstein.
Curse of Frankenstein.
Okay, and that has Christopher Lee in it as the monster,
Yes.
correct? Yeah.
Yes, and Peter Cushing as
As the Doctor. Yep.
Doctor. Yeah.
I think he reprises playing the Doctor throughout all their Frankenstein films.
I think so. Yes.
But the monster is different most times. I feel like that may be the only Frankenstein one that Christopher Lee was in, right?
I want to say he was in maybe the second one as well.
Okay. I know there's like The Revenge of Frankenstein that I watched, and it was terrible, and the monster in that one looked awful. It looked like he was made out of like paper mache.
Yeah, I think that's the bad one.
Okay, all right.
like there's 6 or 7 Hammer Frankenstein movies, and one of them I know is I was warned away from watching it because it's like a soft reboot, I guess, and it's real bad.
Okay, so it must be that one then. My favorite one is Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell.
That one's really good.
Yeah, which stars David Prowse as the monster.
Yes.
But I digress, as always. Something Dracula.
Yeah, blah. He never said that. What is that?
Yeah,
like that's his signature thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think Adam Sandler is the only one that actually says it in anything.
Not even I
yeah,
want to suck your blood.
Did you not ever see Hotel Transylvania?
I never did.
Huh.
Never saw that. Never saw Dead and Loving It.
What about Love at First Bite with George Hamilton?
No.
Okay.
Not Twice Bitten
With
with Jim Carrey.
Dracula's not in that one.
No, okay.
And it's Once Bitten.
Oh shit! Sorry, I thought it was a pun.
No. No.
Not Blackula.
Dracula does appear in Blackula.
Does he really? Okay.
Yeah. He turns Prince Mamuwalde into a vampire, and the
I guess that
vampire
makes
becomes Blackula.
That makes total sense now that you say it out loud. I actually think I vaguely remember reading a plot description for Blackula at one point too, and thinking it sounded really interesting.
Oh yeah, I would love to watch Blackula again at some point. Maybe that'll be my next pick. I don't know.
All right, call it an audible.
No, I've already decided what I'm going to pick next. But yeah, I mean, there's the movie is basically light on plot, but it's beautifully shot. I love the sets, and the performances are all pretty top notch. But the thing I started to say 20 minutes ago, so when I watch a lot of Hammer movies, there is one reaction. It's a visceral reaction.
Mm-hmm.
That I generally tend to have. That's it purely comes out of me being just a heterosexual male. But 9 times out of 10 when I watch a Hammer movie, usually the phrase "Jesus tits" just pop out of my mouth. Because another thing that Hammer was very famous for was just very buxom ladies in very tight bustiers.
Yeah.
This I had one at the most, but it was fine. Like it didn't call that reaction out of me. I mean, they were admirable and good for her, but. If I had to point to one thing that was disappointing, it was that.
I'm sorry. Now, when you say Jesus tits, is there a comma between there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Jesus tits.
Jesus tits.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Oh, this is a good podcast. I think Apple's gonna feature us after this episode comes out.
I hope so. We deserve it. We've been going for years. We're heading close to 300 here. Come on.
Fuck. Dracula.
I think this was also one of the first Dracula movies that featured on-screen gore.
Yeah, it's like in that opening sequence with Jonathan Harker, like I was surprised at how sort of hard it goes. Like when Dracula bursts in like covered with blood.
Yep.
Things got intense real fast.
I was, part of it is the fact that the Dracula story is kind of essentially boring. But the Bela Lugosi movie also just moves at a snail pace as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is just atmosphere and mood, to sort of build the tension, but it never really quite works. Like, he is charismatic as Dracula. And obviously, there's a reason why most depictions of Dracula always go back to the Bela Lugosi version. But the Christopher Lee one is truly frightening.
Yeah.
Like when he just bursts in and he has the crazy eyes and just wide open mouth with just caked with blood. And sometimes his hair does weird stuff. Like in the final scene with Van Helsing and Dracula fighting, like his hair is just sort of sticking up in like a weird cockatiel type of thing.
Right.
It was a little distracting. But yeah, like this may be one of the first movies that makes him truly, really intense.
Yeah, I feel like there's something about, like, again, sort of things that I picked up from cultural osmosis is that Dracula is this sort of charming, like he's a sex machine.
Yeah.
And he lures in female victims with his sex appeal, and it's all very sort of erotic and penetrative and all that. Mm-hmm. And Christopher Lee's a sexy man, but I get less sexy from him and more just scary.
Right.
Which is cool. It's a different vibe than I was expecting.
I definitely prefer a scary vampire over a sexy vampire. And I think the two can coexist, and I think there are moments, where he pulls it off a little bit. But it definitely leans more into the scary, I think, which I do appreciate.
Yeah.
But, I think also you're just supposed to buy that, he's just enthralling these women.
Right.
And, using his, whatever vampire powers, which apparently also do not include turning into a bat.
Right. Another thing I appreciated about this movie is that it is short.
Yeah.
It's an hour and 20 minutes.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. I like a short movie sometimes. And yeah, not a scene wasted. Like even the slower scenes, like they all feel necessary to. I mean, okay, all right. I think the blood transfusion scene goes on a little too long. I think we didn't need to see the entire procedure of Alfred, giving blood to his wife.
I actually found that really interesting.
I mean, it was interesting, but yeah, it could have been a little short. So there is one thing that I noticed towards the end that I really appreciated. And again, I like most of our movies, I watched this twice.
Sure.
And I noticed it then more on the second time. So in the final battle between Van Helsing and Dracula, Van Helsing is chasing him through the castle.
Mm-hmm.
Dracula makes no noise when he moves.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Because he darts up the stairs in that great room, and Van Helsing quickly follows, but Van Helsing, you hear every footfall that he makes, but Dracula is just silent the entire time.
Interesting.
And so when I rewatched it again, I noticed that in every scene that he's in, he makes no noise other than when he, the 3 times that he talks.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't notice that.
I just thought that was a really nice touch and just a nice attention to detail.
Yeah, there was something that I noticed during the conversation that Dracula has with Jonathan Harker in his bedroom, that you can see their breath.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was really cool because, before he enters the castle, there's voiceover from Harker about how he gets cold.
Yeah.
And then, I liked the idea that, the whole castle was cold, and I didn't notice that in any of the other scenes.
Yeah.
I thought that was really neat.
I didn't notice that at all. One thing I did notice was in that first opening scene when Harker is making himself at home and stoking the fire and having his meal before he encounters the lady vampire of the house. There's a family crest over the fireplace, and it has a Latin motto on it. And I did some research I wanted to see what that motto said.
Nice.
And it's Fidelis et Mortem, which I think literally translated means fidelity until death, or something like that.
Okay.
But I read this article that sort of dissected it, and that's kind of a bastardization of that phrase. But what it can possibly mean is fidelity even in death.
Ooh.
Which I think fits a lot better for a Dracula.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So, yeah, there are just some nice touches. I like the scene that introduces Van Helsing at the inn near Castle Dracula. Because apparently this movie all just takes place within blocks of each other.
Right.
Rather than, cross continents like the original story.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of travel involved, but we don't really know.
Yeah.
Unless you're familiar with the geography over there, we don't really know how far people are traveling.
Yeah. But in the book, it's from Transylvania to England,
right?
And this all just seems to be some sort of small Romanian country that they're all in.
Yeah,
and everybody just speaks with British accents because why shouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I am glad that nobody puts on just a shitty Eastern European accent in this.
Yeah, it would have been real jarring.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the only reason that, he is from Romania, but I think the only main reason that sticks around throughout most iterations of Dracula is just because Bela Lugosi.
Right.
So you never watched the Netflix Dracula show that came out last year?
What? I don't think I was aware of that.
It was a BBC show, but then Netflix picked it up.
Gotcha.
It's one of those things where they say it's a Netflix exclusive, but it was from someplace else first.
Gotcha. No, I have not seen that.
I can tell you the name of the lead actor in it, but I could not tell you who else stars in it. But the lead actor is played by, or Dracula is played by Klaas Bang.
Ooh, okay.
Who I believe is Dutch.
He has an amazing name.
Oh, yes, he does. And it's the first episode. It's 3 episodes long. The first episode sort of follows this movie pretty closely. Like Jonathan Harker meets sort of the similar fate. And it's I don't believe he is a vampire hunter, but it is still about real estate. But the structure of it still is very similar. And then it takes some weird ass turns.
All right.
And it is super sexy and super gory and also kind of hilarious.
Nice.
But I believe it's Steve Moffat and Mark Gatiss. I think they did it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. You should check that out for sure.
So I'm sure the women are treated really well in that Stephen Moffat show.
I mean, he is Dracula.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds perfect.
I mean, the main female lead is the hero of the movie, the series. So,
all right.
Yeah, take it for what you want.
I thought of another Dracula thing that I'm aware of. There's a character on Sesame Street called the Count.
Okay.
And I don't think they ever really come out and say it, but I'm pretty sure he's Count Dracula.
Okay, all right. I will stretch to give you that, but then I would also ask, have you seen The Monsters?
I have, but he's not Dracula, is he?
Yes, he is.
Really?
Yes, he is.
Oh, shit. All right. I love The Monsters.
The Monsters is great. Not as good as The Addams Family, but still really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, he is Dracula.
All right.
I don't think it is explicitly stated in the show, but it is like in his backstory, and also, but in the Brian Fuller
yes,
did that one episode pilot that never made it.
Yeah, Mockingbird Lane.
Yeah, which was great, and is a shame that it never made it. But Eddie Izzard is explicitly Dracula in that one.
I forgot all about that.
Yep. Did you see that one?
I did see that one.
So there you go. You got another one.
Excellent. This is not a thing like the bringing in the sheaves thing where I want to see all of them. This is just
No, yeah, I understand. It's Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. Did you ever see that?
No, I never saw that one.
Okay, all right. That's my Universal Blu-ray box set. It's got Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and Invisible Man, I think, on it. And like they're all 5 disc sets or whatever. Every single one of them comes with a copy of Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. So I have 5 copies of that movie.
That's awesome. I think that means it's your favorite movie.
I guess so. It's because they initially released them as individual sets.
Yeah.
Featuring those monsters, and the Abbott and Costello one was in all of them. So when they made it a box set, they just didn't think to take that one out, I guess.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Horror of Dracula.
This was great.
Yeah, I am really glad that you picked this one. It filled in another Dracula slot for me and another Hammer horror slot, which as I said last week, I am always in the mood to watch a Hammer horror film.
Excellent. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay, then. I did see HBO has a couple others, but I think I've seen some of them. I couldn't remember.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it has Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, which is the third one, and it's the second Christopher Lee one.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Good movie.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Do you have any good things for this past week?
Dracula's cool.
Dracula is cool.
The Tick cartoon is now on Hulu, so I can watch it without commercial interruption now. So that's fun.
Excellent. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I got.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah. What about you, sir?
Well, I was deprived of.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry. I read a fantastic fucking comic this past week.
What'd you read?
I read Bang by Matt Kent and Wilfredo Torres.
Yes, Bang is so good.
Oh, man. It's just... I didn't know what to expect. I knew just that it was kind of like a James Bond riff, but I didn't know the whole thing about it. And it is so much more than that. And now I want that book to be like a Black Hammer type publishing in Denver, where there's just, spin-offs and prequels and solo stories and whatever. Like, I just want to immerse myself in that world.
Yeah. It was like, basically I went into it knowing the same thing as you. Like, it's sort of a James Bond riff, but then, the things that they do in that book are just really fun.
Yeah. Really enjoyed that one. So that's my joy. Bang. Not to be confused with Clash Bang.
No. My thing was going to be jury duty, but since I didn't get to do that, there is a half-price booked warehouse sale this weekend that I'm really excited about.
I'm so jealous.
It's been well over a year since I've been to one of those. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I cannot remember the last time I got to go to one, but I enjoy looking for stupid shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Stupid cheap shit.
Stupid cheap shit is the best kind of stupid shit.
Yeah, exactly. I want to say I did go to one. I think it was in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, about 2 years now.
Yeah, I know. I went to one that I think was in like early March of 2020.
Okay.
It was before Emerald City was canceled for that year. So yeah, it's been over a year.
Yeah. I know the last one that I found a copy of, I want to say it was Shadow Man number 25, which had a chromium cover because our friend Jason was chasing down shiny variants.
That's a great story on many levels. It's a perfectly Jason story.
Yep.
It's a great friendship story.
Uh-huh.
And it's a great Eric story.
It is. It has everything you want.
It really, it's a crowd pleaser. It's a 3-quadrant story.
Ugh, gotta get that 4th quadrant somehow.
Oh shit, what even is the 4th quadrant? I don't know.
I don't either.
Oh boy. Do you want to pick a movie for next week?
Sure. So I've been thinking about this long and hard and struggled with it for a bit, but I think I have decided, and we're gonna step away from horror, and actually I'm gonna pick a movie that I have never seen, but I know you have.
Okay.
And in fact, at one point in time, I'm not sure if this is still the case, this was one of your favorite movies.
Ooh, boy, okay.
It is available on Hoopla and Canopy. It is called Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, nice. I was literally thinking about that movie earlier today.
Just how much you hate it now and you're going to veto?
No, I was thinking about, I mean, the Kevin Spacey of it all.
Yeah.
But no, I was thinking about the sort of famous Alec Baldwin scene that you're probably familiar with, even if you don't realize it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I would happily watch that movie again.
Excellent. It's not going to bother you that Kevin Spacey's in it?
Nah, it's fine.
Okay, because you know, our first episode for our return was supposed to be a Kevin Spacey movie.
Right.
That we nixed, which is fine. I love the movie that we picked anyway. But you know, I just want to make sure. And honestly, I didn't know that he was in it.
He has not a large role in it, so
okay.
So yeah, and I think, you know, we can get into it.
Okay,
we can get into it when we watch the episodes.
Yeah. All right then. Yeah, this is a movie that I've kind of wanted to watch for a long time, and I just never got around to it.
I'm surprised I never made you watch this.
I am surprised too. But yeah, like I said, I knew that at least at one point in time it was one of your favorite movies. And I think at one point in time I had toyed around, you know, picking it for Gutter Trash and having you on as a guest for it. But you know, just for whatever reasons, just never got around to it. So I'm ready to buckle down and watch this movie finally.
Excellent. Let's do it.
Okay then. We'll do that next week again available on Hulu. Not fuck me, running.
Hoopla and Canopy.
There you go.
All right. We'll see you next week then.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to The Viewmasters. You can subscribe to the show directly at view.guttertrash.net or at iTunes and leave us a review. Visit view.guttertrash.net for email information and links to Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you next time on The Viewmasters.